Welcome to the finale, the season finale of the DweeBros podcast. Who will die? Who will live? Who will get romantically involved?
I don't die. Oh, God.
I've been looking forward to that part.
We do not know. But thank you for joining us for DweeBros podcast.
Yeah,
the end of the year. The finale. Thank you. Thank you again.
Welcome. And this is the end of the second year.
The second season, yeah.
Yeah. 24 of
second
these.
season.
Each of our podcasts is around an hour, so you could take 24 hours and listen to 24 episodes in a row and probably bleed out of your eyes and ears.
You would get
out
all
of joy.
If you woke up out
or
of
pain, I don't know.
If you woke up out of a coma and you were like, "What happened with gaming?"
In 2 years.
And then you searched, you went on Apple Podcasts, you went on YouTube, and you found us boys. You're gonna know everything.
Yeah,
you're covered.
Yeah, you don't need any other journalist or anything.
You could honestly, whatever, Firefox, your Chrome, get that off your computer. Save the space. Just get our stream. Listen to us every month. You don't need to know what's going on. Don't go to IGN or what are all the places.
But you have no browser to get to it?
Yeah. No, you just go to the podcast.
Go to podcast.
Yeah, you don't need the internet to look up gaming news.
Because you're saying just watch our stream.
Just listen to our podcast.
Yeah, that's a good...
Are you a skeptic of our show?
What do you mean a skeptic?
You think that you couldn't learn everything you need to know just from our show?
I mean, you kind of...
No, I think...
I don't know. You were kind of against the whole deleting the internet.
You know what?
You're against deleting internet.
I did. For a second I had that. But you know what? This is the end of... This is season finale's character arcs end. My arc was I didn't have faith for a second. And then I did. That's my only arc. My only arc is in the finale. I go, maybe not.
Maybe not.
Yeah, we can. That's the whole arc. Thank you for joining us. I am Zach. We've got Travis here and Jacob, the artist formerly known as Werewolf.
Is Werewolf coming back?
Probably not.
He's
we're gonna get 2016 thing.
We got some game news. We got some stuff. We talk game. We talk TV. We talk movies. We're gonna go through our top stuff of the year. This year.
Time of the year.
But I say we get out some of the news that happened. Some game news. Hot off the press, breaking news here. We've got
76's dump fire.
Fallout 76. Was a game announced at E3, wasn't it?
Yeah, they did the same thing they did with 4, where they kind of teased it and then they announced it at E3, and then they released later that year.
And I always had an uneasy feeling about this, but I was like, I'm willing to see what they do with it. It might be interesting. This was, and we also have a segment here. We're going to talk about like worst and best game news of the year. This might be my worst. This might be something that, and I hate to pick stuff like this when it's so close to the end of the year. You might just pick things that are fresh in your mind. This is just something that just every day I'd wake up and look, this got worse. Oh, why did like you just didn't think it could get worse. So this started out, people got the game, and it was a clunky mess. I was on the for my work that I do. I was talking with somebody that I saw their laptop. They had a Fallout background. I brought up conversation. I said, "Hey, big Fallout fan and stuff." We started talking. I said, "You excited for Fallout 76?" And they were part of the beta. And this person had this wallpaper that they were. I mean, this was their wallpaper. They were a big fan of Fallout. They were like, "Yeah, I don't know." And I was like, "Uh-oh." When like a big fan is like saying this, I was just kind of spooked at how it turned out.
Yeah,
but
my buddy's a really big Fallout fan. Put tons of hours in 4 even. And I asked him about it. He's like, "Yeah, that's not looking so hot. I'm not touching that." And he played all of them.
Yeah.
And he loved Fallout 4. So
he's like, "I'm skipping that one."
And I even see now, it's a bad sign when your $60 game's getting sold for $29.99 the week it comes out.
Yeah.
And that game's marketing was weird, because I would be like driving home. I listen to like talk radio sometimes on my way home, listening to like football, talk and stuff on the radio, like the local radio. And I've never heard before radio ads for a game, but they were playing Fallout 76 ads on the radio.
Weird.
And it just, to me,
They
I was like, man.
TV ads,
well,
so they had to get it out there somehow.
I actually thought the opposite. I was like, man, they're kind of worried about this game. If you're to the point where you're paying for radio ads, like,
you're trying to grab every demographic.
Any possible demographic you're trying to get out there, and I would say it didn't work for them.
Yeah, so I guess it just was a clunky mess. Like, there was stuff where I didn't figure out the final say on what happened, but I read something in the early days of this coming out when, like, you can set off a nuke on this, and I guess 3 people set off a nuke at the same exact time. Like, they timed it, whatever, through Discord. I don't know how they did it, but, like, they timed it all at once to set off, and it crashed everything. It crashed the whole
I think
server for
that's
the game.
just
I don't know if that was a thing.
That's an extreme example of just all of the different issues I've seen, which are, it is technically very
broken,
taped together.
Yeah.
So it's very easy. I mean, there's people running uphill showing God rays, like sun rays, coming out of the ground.
Yeah.
And there's people showing where, like, the entire world keeps freezing up. There's a glitch where the textures, one by one, keep getting lower and lower and lower and lower and lower poly until it's like blocks. And so there's just a myriad of technical issues. I think the long and short of it is, with this game, they had assets. They had the idea of doing a multiplayer style thing for Fallout 4. They decided, let's just sell it as its own game.
Yeah.
And they stitched together. I think I don't know if it was Bethesda, the publisher arm, that was more like, do this, and the developers were like, okay, we need the money. Or if the developers thought this was a good idea on the front end, because who knows when those business decisions, how they get made.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, this was not at all a good business venture, and they had to have known. What
My
they were putting
opinion
together.
is this was a cash grab.
Yeah,
this felt like what at the end of, like, we've talked about it before, I think, on the podcast or somewhere. Triforce Heroes and Federation Force, and, like, some of these weirder games are coming out on 3DS where it's like, I feel like these are Kickstarters for the Switch. Like, Nintendo is literally kickstarting, trying to get, some revenue to fund this new console.
Ship more games, make more money.
I think Fallout 76 is trying to fund Elder Scrolls 6 and Starfield and whatever projects they're working on. That's my opinion.
Yeah, very possible.
That's my cynical self.
I guess I don't really understand the whole idea then, because if you, hey, let's put out a $60 game, then you turn around and say, okay, $29.99, week it comes out.
Well, that wasn't the plan. They had to drop the price because they weren't selling.
Yeah. I guess in my mind, maybe I'm not a developer. Obviously, I'm not a developer, so I don't know any better. Why would you not just take Fallout 4, create a DLC patch for multiplayer, and just slap it together? Because that game's actually completed.
Because you can't sell that for $60.
No, I
and your sell through, a lot of this happened also with Uncharted Lost Legacy, and it's not a bad thing all the time.
Yeah.
They start putting money into a spin-off or an expansion, but they realize very early on, you immediately cap yourself and your audience, because whoever bought Uncharted 4 caps who can buy Uncharted Lost Legacy. So they make it not an expansion, they make it its own thing, because then anybody can buy it. Same thing with this. And at some point, Todd or somebody got the vision that they wanted this to be every human you see as a real person, which is fundamentally a problem for those RPGs and the way they make them, because talking with the NPCs and, like, going around and doing that is a core part of the experience of running around with you, meeting these characters at these places. So when everybody you go to is just a robot...
I don't even think it's crazy that they split it out into its own thing, because it seemed like it was enough to where it warranted. But I did see something that was interesting. I don't know if it was Jason Schreier from Kotaku or Jeff Keighley. I don't know who was talking about it, but they looked at the numbers of, like, what people buy, like, how many people do buy DLC, like, post-launch DLC, and that the numbers are not that high.
Yeah.
But when someone found out, I don't know who did it first, that they kind of split out into its own, like, expansion pack, like, sold on shelves physical thing. And those sold better. Yeah. So I think
that's why.
I think that was part of it as well. But so what happened? So all the glitchy stuff happened. Then it turned into people bought. There was a collector's edition, and this was wild to the point where I had to look it up and do my own research. People said, "I just bought this, and here's my canvas bag." There was a canvas bag that said Fallout 76 on it, and it said, "This is a nylon bag," and it's this crappy, like, dollar store Fallout 76 thing, and I was like, and I said, "Is this real?" I was like, "I'm gonna give them the benefit of the doubt because this is nuts." Because I looked at the original thing they showed, and I was like, "That's not even close." So I was like, you know what? It'll be messed up is if that picture is still up. Like, did they change it at some point and say not final on the thing? Because sometimes they say statue not final if it's a collector's edition. I go on Amazon, type in Fallout 76. That canvas bag is still there. That picture's still there, and I went, uh-oh. Like, this is not going to work out for them. Yeah. So, sure enough, people went nuts on that. And their response was even... Then it became funnier. It snowballed effect of, like, it just kept getting funnier. They said... the response to that original guy, it said, "No, we will not be..." It was so, like, matter-of-factly. It said, "Oh, yeah, we could not find the funds to make the canvas bag. It ended up being too expensive. No, we will not be doing anything about this." And I went, ooh, like, uh-oh. So we started going down the track of that, and people started getting at them online. They relented and said, "We will, tell us." They had some form or whatever, and we will give you 500 coins or whatever the thing in the game. I forgot what that was. Caps in the game. And then someone said, it was almost immediate. The response was so freaking funny. Someone found it said, 500 caps. You can't even buy the canvas bag that's in the game. And I went, oh my gosh, this keeps getting worse. It can't get worse. It did. There was so finally they said, we will refund you. And I even put on Twitter, I was like, hey, right thing to do. Like, you own up to it. If you own up to it, whatever. So they finally did own up to it. They said, fill out this form. We will find some way to refund you or whatever. Someone came out and said, hey, I just looked at everybody's information. On my account, it gave me everybody's thing that signed up for this. Their address, credit card numbers, and that was out there for, like, I think a day or something like that. All that info was out, and people, like, information leaked.
They use a Google Doc to fill out those forms?
Yes, it was something like that. So somebody had something where they were able to get all that information.
Wow.
So that's the last I've heard. I think Todd Howard is being lowered into the grave as we speak. So hopefully...
Well, but I will say...
This just kept getting worse. This is a news story.
Let me just say this, though.
This is very EA-esque.
This becomes bigger than... So there's Bethesda Game Studios, who are the actual people making the game, and they've got their own piece and all this garbage. But Bethesda Softworks is the publisher.
Sure.
They're the ones doing the marketing. They're the ones putting together collector's editions, making business deals. They're the ones doing refunds. They're the ones doing... Todd Howard and those guys do not...
I know, I'm just joking.
I know, but I just like...
I know it's not Todd's fault
but I have a bigger point, which is... What the heck is going on with Bethesda Softworks?
Yeah.
They've generally been regarded as a pretty professional, well-run organization. So we've always known that Bethesda Game Studios has their issues with glitches and stuff. Mm-hmm. So this is a hyper example of that, and they, as far as I'm concerned, in the post-Witcher 3 world, they cannot release another game at their standard before I think that the player base will fully abandon them.
Yeah.
But then on the other side, Bethesda Softworks, outside of the Creation Club stuff, they're generally pretty well respected. They do really well at E3. They have good fan relations. They're burning up their goodwill. Like, what are you doing? Getting, like, customers' credit card and personal information and leaving it exposed, like... That is a major.
It just was a combo hit of like the canvas bag, giving 500 coins, losing all the information. The game is glitchy.
Yeah, because Bethesda Game Studios, they've been kind of. You even said this because they used to be in your tier of you trust them no matter what. Yeah. And you said with Fallout 4 they left that group, and now they're way out of that group. But at least Bethesda Softworks, because they do Doom, they do Wolfenstein, they do The Evil Within, they do Prey, they do a lot of different games with different studios. I don't know. They're now starting to just seem like they're completely going downhill. Yeah. So it's very weird.
I still think, like Doom coming out, that looks awesome and stuff. I still think they have a great, like Elder Scrolls 6. I'm gonna buy that. You know what I mean? Like, I'll be there. I just don't trust them to stuff like this. Is just like,
this is just weird,
sketchy. So that happened, but someone did do some good stuff for to get money. Epic came out with the Epic Games Store. And this was something when it was announced, I went, another freaking launcher, buzz off, this thing's going to live and die in a month or whatever. But the Game Awards came around. And there is quite a lot of exclusives, like quite a big heavy hitters.
I was looking forward to Ashen.
is Epic.
Is Epic Game Store exclusive.
Super
So
Meat
now
Boy
I'm
forever.
sitting.
Super Meat Boy.
So
as
no,
well.
I'm sitting here. I want to play Ashen, but I was like, I could buy it on Xbox because it's Xbox.
Yeah.
It's console Xbox exclusive.
Yeah.
I could buy it on Xbox, or I could buy it in the Epic Game Store. I was like, this is never a thing I thought would be an issue. But
Yeah.
those are my two choices.
Yeah, it's always been something. I've always been hard on just only doing Steam if I do something PC. But now that there's all these launches and stuff,
the new Supergiant game.
Yeah.
People that make
my
Ashen.
choice now, I have left this debate, and I'm just full mostly console kind of now. I'm more of a console gamer only as far as I can, but. but for people that are just on PC, it's just like, oh, they're. I read someone was talking online. They were like, "Welcome to consoles, PC gamers," because it's like, oh, now I have to like have this launcher. I have to have an Xbox. I have to have an Epic Games. I have to have a Steam console.
Well, fortunately,
like,
it's free to download a launcher.
Yes, it's not. Yeah, you're not buying.
Click
a
on the
console.
launcher.
It's an
Yeah.
inconvenience.
I agree though. It sucks, but
Because you're splitting out your library of like, I have these games from this. It's kind of
oh,
weird.
you need me to go this? Oh, I gotta click on this.
Theoretically, I did. You can just set them all up as games though on your computer. Then when
Yeah.
you open whichever one, it opens
Yeah.
whichever launcher. So it's. But
it-
I am used to very much the Steam ecosystem.
They have made
so.
it a little bit more convoluted. Just
Yeah.
just a had. So but yeah, I was like, whoa, and then like the price cut that they give developers is better. So it's like, I think you're going to see people for years have kind of, I felt like developers have kind of had at it with Steam.
Yeah.
You know, behind the scenes more so than I know about. But like I think they have just butted head for so long that Epic doing this is like, frick 'em. You know what I mean?
Well,
like,
what I read
like,
was that Epic is being way more competitive because they're offering 80% of revenue share.
Yes, yeah.
Instead of the standard 70%.
Yeah.
That's 10%
They're-
more. So people are like,
And they're giving even more. They're letting developers even give like 5 or 10% more of that, even if you sell certain sell goals. So if you sell 1 million or 5 million or whatever, then you give them more.
Well,
so you see some of these heavy hitter
Yeah.
AAA games. It's like, that's a no.
it's like Super Meat Boy Forever.
like for that.
That's what the game that to me, like when I read, I'm like, oh, that's a whole. They said they signed a year-long exclusive deal.
What I wonder is how does this line up with what they're paying Sony or Microsoft for being on consoles? You know what I mean? Like, how does that line up?
You know,
Because
the funny
like,
part though is there's some games out there, like you said, it's like Xbox and then Epic Game Store's exclusive. So I'm like, why would you choose those two over the other two?
I will tell you though, it's a risky move. Even though you might get a temporary payout from Epic,
yeah,
there are vastly more people that use and know how to use and like Steam
Sure,
now than use Epic Games. So Super Meat Boy Forever, their day 1 sales or day 30 sales or day 90 sales on Epic Game Store versus if they had launched on Steam or on both.
Oh yeah.
They're going to take a hit.
So
they're playing, in a sense, the long game and the short game. They're getting the short-term payout and hoping that Epic Game Store will get a dedicated user. Because Ashen looks great. Super Meat Boy Forever looks great. But at the same time, how many games are on Steam that are not on the Epic Game Store?
I think Epic it might be giving them an incentive. I think they're paying some of these developers something.
I know. That's what I'm saying. They're taking a short-term payout from Epic. But is that worth it?
Yeah, we'll have to see.
We'll have to see.
We'll have to talk through revenue entirely. This company went from being a $2 to $4 billion dollar company to Fortnite came out to an $8 billion, $10 billion company.
Yeah. They were already a giant in the industry.
So now they're like, we have revenue to spend. We have margin to spend.
Yeah.
That's the biggest thing. I mean, our company right now, what's funny is how this is all kind of working together.
It's a smart move.
Yeah.
I mean, that's their only play now. If you want to get into that Steam level, Nintendo level area and Microsoft level, you have to open up your own storefront.
You don't run a company and just make tons of margins and just sit on it.
Yeah.
No, when you start making high margins, you're like, let's spend.
Yeah.
Let's just throw money. So now you're like, you have such a good bank saved up of profit that you're like, yeah, let's go ahead and pay him 80%.
Yeah.
Who cares? Frick it. Like,
yeah.
Well, then it's interesting because then you got smaller companies like Discord who've recently opened up their own storefront that are immediately getting swamped.
90.
And they're like, 90. We don't even care if we make money on this.
Yeah.
Like,
just come here.
Just please join us instead.
Yeah.
It's gonna be. It's interesting because
it's the Wild West right now.
Not a lot of people take a lot of swipes to Steam. Like they really don't. I don't think. I mean, even when you look at like Blizzard, they're like, hey, we offer 6 games, nothing more. Occasional Activision game.
Yeah.
Well, and that's been my thing is I don't mind Blizzards because they're just doing their own games.
Yeah,
and
they're not offering.
And BattleNet's existed long before
Yep.
any of this stuff. But it's getting weirder and weirder. I open up my computer, I almost get anxiety of like which of these 8 buttons do I press.
Yeah.
I've officially written off GOG. I've written off Origin. I've written off like my Uplay. I don't open any of that crap now. I'm not getting the Bethesda launcher.
GOG though has these games that
GOG has some cool stuff.
Has some extremely niche stuff. I saw the other day on Twitter someone was like, "Yeah, this is on sale on GOG," and it was a game I played on Sega CD.
Yeah.
The Adventures of Willie Beamish or something. It was this old point and click. Me and my dad used to play, and I was like, "That's on there."
I don't mean to say I've written off GOG because it doesn't have its niche. Yeah. I've written it off because maybe 1 out of 1,000 things is something that triggers me. Like I want it, and even then I have a backlog that is a mile long. Yeah. Because I saw like they have Star Wars Pod Racer. I love that they've gotten that game and they preserved it. And when the day comes that a game I really care about is preserved on there and I want to hop on and buy it, I'll buy it. But I've got like 10 games in my GOG library that I've gotten from different things, and I've never downloaded one of them.
You know, if I've never heard of GOG.
Really, GOG? It's a good old games. It's owned and operated by the publishing part of CD Projekt.
Yeah, never
People that make The Witcher.
Yeah, nope.
And their whole angle is they go and really try to get like old games that don't have publishing anymore, and they get them put on there.
Hey.
So they kind of sustain some of those.
So they find some crazy niche stuff.
I'd love if they got Lord of the Rings Battle for Middle Earth 2. That'd be a cool one.
I guess my thing is like I don't really care as much because I'm just like I'm gonna click on something and I'm gonna load a game. It is what it is. Like like it's just on my computer. It's not like I have to sit there and pull out another box out. Well, you know, when you compare it to consoles, I think that's a large stretch.
Yeah, I think competition's healthy. It's kind of annoying right now. I'll see how things fall because ideally, if there's going to be more than one, I'd like to have an idea of what I use certain ones for. Right now, it's just random. Like Steam's got everything except for a couple things which are on Epic, and then you've got all these random ones that are based on their company.
The biggest thing to me right now is that Epic is sitting there promoting the fact that, hey, once a month we're going to give away one of our major titles for free. Like, that was their biggest thing. And so, like, right now, again, we said talk before we started this podcast, we were talking, I was like, Subnautica's free. That's a $30 game on Steam. I'm like, I bought Subnautica on Steam because I want to play it. I just haven't played it yet. But I'm like, frick!
Yeah.
Like,
they're not hurting for the money, you're right.
Yeah,
right
so they're like, we'll get more people come over to us. But
and that solves the thing I said earlier about how they're going to get a user base. Well, if you're giving Subnautica away for free, you know,
people are going to I think it is, competition's always a good thing.
Yeah.
Interested to see how this goes on. But the Game Awards, we were at it in my living room. I will start out with an apology. And I'm going to give you guys 500 caps in response to this. If you guys just want to type in your credit card number in the comments, and I will get back to you those 500 caps.
Or take a picture.
We lost audio for about an hour during this. Again, I apologize. Put your credit card number in the comments as my apology. We just so sorry about that, but very fun show, and they had something pretty... it wasn't even a game, but I was like, wow. I think these get better every year. I think Jeff Keighley's tweaking these every year, making them better every year. They had our buddy Joseph. He started out the show. They gave him a mic for a little bit. Let him go for a little bit. But they had Reggie, they had Phil Spencer, and they had Sean... Layden.
They brought them all out together.
They brought them all out together, and I was looking at that going like, this is kind of cool. Like, this is just...
I thought they were going to make an announcement.
We are joining all consoles together.
Well, I thought with all the crossplay stuff that's been going on this year, I thought they were going to make a crossplay.
Yeah.
Crossplay all games or something.
But just to have
that would make the Game Awards the biggest thing.
Have them on stage, it's the equivalent of like... Apple brought out Microsoft again, you know what I mean, like in this day and age, and just had them like speak. I don't know, it's fun. It's just fun and cool to see that. It was.
How much red tape had to be cleared within those companies?
Oh,
because think about how stubborn Sony is.
Yeah.
About everything. Think about how stubborn Nintendo is on things. And they all, when you ask Reggie about, or Nintendo about Microsoft, Sony, they say they're not really our competitors. We're really not interested in what. And then Sony, well, they're a little bit snobbish. And Phil is always but he's lowest on the totem pole. So I can't even imagine how much had to be cleared with CEOs and boards of but our image, it will look good to be up there with them. Like Jeff is Houdini for getting that put together. Because I can really respect the political angle of that. I can't imagine the amount of work that went into that.
Yeah, it was
painful.
It was nuts, and so
that'd be like you get up there with your competitors, and you just like,
hey,
but I respect Jeff for doing that. It's such a little thing, but cool. Crash Team Racing remake was my highlight of the show.
Yeah,
for sure. I legitimately think Crash Team Racing. I kind of like that better than Mario. The last I played of it, I just had more fun with kind of the items and stuff back then. So we'll see what this remake does. They might tweak some stuff.
You love Crash, though. I'm
a big Crash guy because it's fun. It's almost like you get to ride around on an overworld, and go in these levels or these races and stuff. So I'm pumped to go through and try to get gold medals on that again. But it looked good, and
I didn't watch all of this year's show, but from what I saw, it was really well balanced, and it seemed like some of those smaller categories, they gave them at least a moment on the side stage and stuff.
For sure.
Whereas last year, I feel like they were just rattling them off.
Yeah.
But God of War won Game of the Year. I don't know when the audio went out at certain points, but we kept doing hashtag can't stop the sweep. I forgot what I said.
It kind of reminded me of that Oscars when La La Land won a bunch of the individual awards, but then Moonlight won Best Picture.
Yeah.
Because Red Dead was getting all the different
that's what I was saying.
awards,
I was like, then sweeping them all. And I was
then
like,
God of War won the Game of the Year.
Yeah. So respect to God of War. I was pushing for Red Dead the whole night, but respects to God of War. But so they I thought it was really cool. There was parts when they had the music person, the person who did the music for Celeste was up there with these other major symphony things doing Celeste music. I was like, how cool would that be to make this indie game with 8 people? And then you're up there on stage in front of these millions of people are watching, and you're doing this music in front of everybody. Wow, that gave me goosebumps.
Hans Zimmer was there.
Yeah, you're playing in front of Hans Zimmer, and it's I just made this indie game.
That's all I did.
But very cool stuff. I think it's better every year. Again, I was the only one dressed up this year in suit and tie. I'll have to talk to Jeff about dress code stuff. I don't know what happens, but it happens. But Sopranos, been watching it again.
We're talking about TV now. We're talking about the Game Awards.
We'll swing back around to that.
Oh, okay.
We'll swing back around to that. Did you have anything else to say about the Game Awards or?
No.
Okay.
We're just
speak now.
That was just a really weird transition. Just out of nowhere. Sopranos. Been watching that. Okay.
I take hard rides sometime. So. Sopranos, me and my wife have been watching that. It's the second time I've watched it. First time for her. I don't think either of you have watched Sopranos.
No, I've never watched it.
My parents did all the time. They used to kick me out.
So, because it's kind of old, or they didn't want you in the same room.
It was like, that's my parents' time. That's why.
Oh, okay.
Parents' time.
Parents' time, Sopranos time. This show, I think, is the most, along with a show called Leftovers, also on HBO, I think this and The Leftovers are the most consistent shows I've ever seen. More so than Lost, more so than Breaking Bad.
More so than Breaking Bad?
More so than Breaking Bad.
That's the most consistent show.
I think this... I can point out certain moments in Breaking Bad where I'm like, I don't give a frick about this. But Sopranos is consistent throughout. There's not an episode I can tell you it's bad. Every show, I think, and because the characters are so entertaining to watch, they could be just watching paint dry. I was like, I love that episode. It is so fun to watch these characters interact. Highly recommend Sopranos. Second time through, I'm enjoying it even more. Just amazing writing, amazing characters. Tony Soprano might be my favorite character of all time on TV. Just
they say great things about that character.
Oh gosh,
I always see him in.
He's played so well, and to kind of maybe entice the people to watch this, with Goodfellas, The Godfather, great gangster kind of mob movies or whatever. Sopranos changes up, and Tony Soprano has a psychiatrist.
Oh,
That's
really?
how the first episode opens, is he has a psychiatrist, so he's talking through these things. So he's you get to see another side of a kind of doing this work, doing this kind of illegal work, and very interesting kind of stuff they take these characters to. Very fun.
I've been watching a show that kind of is really kind of blown my mind. I'm very late on it, but we've been watching Making a Murderer.
Oh yeah.
So, and I love documentaries. Like I love like that OJ. Anytime that they take a long form and they go through like a murder trial or something, I find that stuff so fascinating. So I'm watching that show. Have you seen it before?
I've heard about it. People talk about it. I just don't watch it.
I people talk a lot about it, like it'll blow your mind, it's crazy, and so I was going in, I was like, I just kind of want to see what's going on with this situation. It's really well made. It's really interesting because they document everything that happens. Like you watch the first episode, basically the premise of the show is this guy. I'm probably the last person on earth that hasn't seen it.
Very late to the party.
But he hasn't seen it. But this guy basically gets accused of a crime, and then he spends a long time in jail, and then it's, did he actually do it? Did cops kind of fudge some things? And then he gets out, but then maybe he gets accused of something else. And I think my biggest takeaway is just how systematically broken things are. Which I already knew that things were systematically broken. And I won't even get into what I think did or didn't happen because I don't really know, honestly, with where we're not done with the show yet, but we're probably about 8 episodes in. But you just see how systematically jacked up. It's the inverse of the OJ thing.
Yeah.
Because the OJ documentary is all about how these people wanted to see him be innocent because they loved him and they knew him. And there was the whole race angle of like, And so it was fascinating on that level of like a guy that very clearly did something and people just wanted to see him be innocent. And this is the inverse where people just want to see this man guilty, and potentially the law enforcement just want to see this man guilty. And it's like you're watching like a horror story of like, oh my God, like I don't know that anybody could say beyond reasonable doubt that he for sure did this. And there's different pieces of evidence that come and go, and you question this or that, but there's doubt like throughout the entire series where you're like, I don't know how, and it's just like. And then other family members get drug into it, and it's very tragic. So I recommend that show for sure.
Yeah, and once you're done, I should check out season 2 because I thought like, do we need another season? I really like season 2.
Yeah, we're almost done with season 1. I think there's 10 episodes in season 1, and we're on like 8 or 9. So my girlfriend's like, yeah, there's a season 2. I'm like, how? Because we watched the first 2 episodes. I was like, I think that we're just about done. Like, I don't know what else could happen.
Yeah.
And then it just like goes off another cliff and another cliff. So really good show, man. It's one that I don't know what it is with me. I really love those kinds of documentaries. Yeah. So I highly recommend that.
Yeah,
that's a really
Making Murder, great stuff.
Well, I mean, I finished Scrubs already.
Oh my gosh.
Scrubs talk.
How many seasons?
9 seasons.
This guy burns through seasons of 30-minute shows.
I can watch and just kind of...
When I'm over at your guys' house, it's like you just have it on from when you're there till like you're falling asleep to it.
That's serious.
Now, if you don't fully see an episode, do you go back and watch it, or you just keep going?
I know what happens.
Is that how you watch Baruto?
Yeah, no, I can't watch Baruto. That's different. I haven't seen that yet. I've watched Scrubs 4 times.
So you're okay if you sleep through some of it and you don't see it?
Yeah, because I'm like, oh, Dr. Cox had a baby. I never did that. Like, not a big deal. Oh, I missed the season finale. It's okay. He hit somebody. Whatever.
So you watched, but I mean, still.
If you've already seen it, I get that.
I can still dissect it because what I do is I watch at work too, so I'm like able to sit here and say. So when we last left off, I was like, I'm on season 2. They're all getting their footings. It's funny. It's just dramatic. I have a very strong take with this show, and it really makes me mad because this show could have lasted a lot longer.
I go 9 seasons.
No,
time to wrap it up.
So they got to season 8, and when they
got Scrubs spoilers coming out.
Yeah, Scrubs spoilers. They got to season 8. JD, Elliot, all them. They're really like professional, high tier doctors. They've really just kind of grown up. So they're like, all right.
So you wanted Brubs.
Well, what they did, that's funny. What they did was they interjected these interns. And what they did is like, oh, we're going to restart the show over with new interns going through their eyes and what they're going through.
Because like, after 9 years, you're not an intern anymore.
Yeah, 9 more. So I'm like, oh, these guys are hilarious. They got the guy who did Parks and Rec. What's his name? Oh, my gosh.
Chris Pratt?
No, the other guy, Aziz Ansari.
Oh, he's in Scrubs.
He was in Scrubs. They got some other people I can't name. Like, he was the one that stuck out to me the most.
So they put that at the end? That's at the end?
That's a season 8. There was all these new interns.
Oh, they put a whole new people.
And then focusing on them mainly.
That's like a classic like medical show movie.
Yeah.
They did that in House in season 4. They brought in like all new people.
Yeah.
And
But what's cool though is like the whole perspective changes now because it's no longer focusing on JD's life. It's focusing on these interns' lives, and they're just supporting these interns. So I'm like, oh, cool. The people I've gotten used to are still around, but they're no longer the focal point of the show. Yeah. Season 8 ends, and then they go to Season 9, which Season 9 should have never existed, where they're in medical school. Like, they're now teachers. Zach Braff and all them are teachers, and they're at the school, and they're teaching classes, and these interns are now doctors. I'm like, what happened? Like, this show just took a dump. Yeah. Like, it made me so mad, because I'm like, made me remember how much I hated Season 9 because there was so much potential coming out of Season 8. And I was like, you know...
You heard it here, Scrubs Writers.
Yeah,
I know you're watching.
You guys really blew it.
You really...
I don't know. I just, dude, nothing better than a dramedy, I guess is what you call it, right?
Yeah.
Is that what it's called?
Dramedy.
Yeah, good old dramedy. That's good. So now I'm sitting here like, what do I need to rewatch again? And I can't watch Dragon Ball Z because I've watched that 4 times this year. So
you should check out Making a Murder. Give us your thoughts.
I've been watching a channel on YouTube called The Gaming Historian.
I've heard of it.
He's been putting out like 45-minute documentaries on certain situations. He put one out on Tetris. Love it. Yeah. Absolutely. It made me fall in love with Tetris. I'm like, greatest game of all time. I have it on my phone, I have it on my Switch.
It is, yeah.
Switch update. On a really, really quick side note, I took my Switch from work the other day. Yeah. It's back home. It's back where it belongs.
It's back where it belongs, yeah.
Puya Puya Tetris, Tetris Puya Puya.
Tetris Puya Puya.
Yeah, whatever we call it. I was like, you know what? I wonder how many hours we put into this game. You know, because my Switch has been at the office for about 5 months now. 1,005 hours.
Oh my gosh.
There is 1,000.
Dude, show that to your boss.
I went up. I was like, guys, we don't work enough.
Oh my
and we were sitting there like, when do we have time for that? That's like 48 days. So I'm looking at my boss. I'm like, we spent a month and a half.
I wouldn't show that to my boss.
He's the one playing it. I'm sitting there like, we spent a month.
No, and it's not just 1,000. It's 1,000 times 4 because 4 people are playing it.
Yeah.
That's 4 people's labor going into that 1,000.
48 days of labor. Put into a video game.
Is that with the multiplying it out?
Yeah, if you want to, yeah, technically. Because
so it's 48
we never
times
played
4.
by ourselves. We've always played it with other people. I just was like, so now we have an Xbox there, and we all play speedrunners. And we have probably put 50 so hours into speedrunners.
I don't know what that is.
You'll have to look at it. It's a game where you have 4 runners, and they just run through a map, and you try to knock them out. Really simple. Fun. It's a really fun game.
So can you update us on that? How much hours were sunk in?
I'll keep you updated.
Yeah, keep us updated how much you're not working.
I just was like, my Switch didn't even... The most played game on there will never be a Nintendo game.
Yeah.
It'll forever be a Sega game. It'll never be a Nintendo game. So, wow. I just was blown away.
Any GameStop updates?
No. Oh, yeah. Frick GameStop, dude. All right.
This is the GameStop segment.
Yeah, I ran to the nearest GameStop. I'm like, do you have those games? Like, no, we're actually sold out. They gave me like $13 for it. Oh, yeah. Frick GameStop, dude. I don't know how. I don't know when. I could have swore to you on the end of the earth. We pre-ordered. I think you pre-ordered the PlayStation Classic.
Oh, I canceled that, by the way.
Yeah, I pre-ordered it. You know, we all our
That's
friend
saying
group,
something when you canceled it.
Hey, our whole friend group was like, "All right, jump ship," and I'm like, "You're right, jump ship." Where did I pre-order this freaking thing at? And I couldn't find it. And I could have swore I found it and canceled it. I thought it was Amazon or something. So the other day, I'm like, "There's a package at my house." I open up, it's a freaking PlayStation Classic. I got charged for it. So then I backtrack and I look where it shipped from, and it was from GameStop. And I'm like...
So it sounds like you kind of screwed yourself.
Well, I did. I screwed myself. But
GameStop is involved with your woes.
They never sent me an email telling me it shipped. They never sent me an email. I couldn't find an order confirmation from GameStop in my emails. So then I'm like, what email did I use to buy this stupid thing?
Yeah, that's kind of messed up if they don't give you any tracking.
I'm like... They knew I wanted to cancel this. They're like, just don't send them any emails.
This is the guy that really wanted to get money back for not getting it shipped at the same time.
Yeah,
what happened with that thing?
So I canceled it, and this was kind of a late choice I made. Here's why. I know this thing's gonna be cracked open, and I still hold that belief that this thing will be cracked open. I mean, day one, somebody plugged a keyboard into it, pressed escape. Did you see that?
Yeah.
No.
Somebody plugged a keyboard into it, pressed escape, and pulled up the debug, and you could like change stuff
No
and like
way.
get in the emulator just from doing that. So I was like, this thing's gonna be cracked wide open. You'll be able to add different games to it. But so I knew that going into it, but I went for $100. I have to put that work into it, and it's not like that from the beginning. $100 is pushing it. Even the NES and SNES Classic are, they were 60, 70 or whatever.
Yeah.
And I was like, this is more worth it.
They had actually pretty good games on it. This one doesn't
yeah,
have
yeah. This one didn't have. It had some really cool ones on there, but it didn't have. It did not warrant $100. So I canceled it. I said I will buy this when this thing has overstock and needs to sell out for $50. I will buy it at $50-ish or whatever, and then I'll hack it and I'll get all that stuff, and then it's worth it for me for $50. It's cool.
I think my biggest issue with the game, with that era of gaming, it is so ugly.
It is ugly.
You're the guy that said Uncharted remastered.
So your standards are...
Hey, and I sat there and I'm like, I didn't play the PlayStation 1 a ton. I played Oddworld. I think that was the one game that stuck out to me the most. Tomb Raider. A couple of those oddball games. But I'm sitting there and I'm like...
You're not connected to it as much as...
but I just remember, I'm like, man, this era was the worst era of... Like, we all thought it was the greatest, but it was awful.
It's pretty ugly,
The jump from 16-bit to, well, let's try to figure out 32 and 64-bit was awful. It was terrible. And thank God we figured it out in the PlayStation 2. Because if they had a PlayStation 2 Classic, I'd jump through my window and run down the hallway and scream and do some crazy stuff. But I just cannot believe they didn't even clean it up a little bit. Like, it just looks so bad on
it is they upscaled it for, HDMI.
Upscaling that is like polishing a TV. Like, it's glorified, like, they polished a beautiful TV.
I will say I am most connected. That is my favorite console is the PS1. But even me, I had to, like, step back and say $100 for this, not worth it.
Yeah,
so
I get it.
For $50, I'll check it out.
Big regret.
When it gets to that point. So, yeah, PS1 Classic, canceled. Goodbye. But another weird development with that was people were kind of poking around on the code on it, and they did find there's Crash 2, there's Tomb Raider 1, 2, 3, there's Tony Hawk's Pro Skater 1 and 2. There's other game code, like, I don't think of the full thing, but there's code in there for those games.
I give you what happened was they were sitting there like, nah, we'll release this on a version 2.
Well, it's already on. They already use an open source PSX emulator.
Yeah.
Oh, another funny update is I saw a video. They compared, because someone hacked the Super Nintendo Classic to play PS1 games, and they did a side-by-side of the SNES Classic playing Ridge Racer and the PS1 Classic playing Ridge Racer, and it looked better and it played better on the SNES Classic. And I was like... Not that these are just motherboard, you know what I mean? It's like it's just in the shell of the thing, but I thought that was really funny.
That just is ironic.
But it's weird.
I hate classic games. Give me the GameCube Classic.
In the wake of, I want to circle back around to our videos. We didn't really put out much. We did a Super Seducer 2 video again. Still loving that. Still freaking funny. So check that out if you'd like. And then the Game Awards.
One of the funniest games ever.
Yes, it is still so funny, some of the stuff they throw at you. And Game Awards 2018, those reactions are up. Final reactions of the year, unless you can tell me something else to react to. Send a picture. Put your credit card number in the comments. I'll react to that.
That'd be a heck of a video. Man.
Now coming back around to movies, we're just all over the map because this is the finale. You know how they're trying to tie up all these
reminiscing,
arcs.
Talking.
They're tying up all these arcs. It's the finale. Me and Travis, my wife, his girlfriend, we sat down. I've seen
my wife. His wife is not my girlfriend. That was a weird.
my wife, his girlfriend. It's his girlfriend. My wife. We, just.
I'm glad.
Hey, that's a good plot twist.
I said romantic.
Hey, romantic twist.
I said there was gonna be romantic stuff. So we sat down and watched Eraserhead. I would like to get more of your thoughts because I've already seen it. This is your first time seeing it.
So. David Lynch's first movie.
Yeah.
So, and I don't know, this really is his first movie.
First feature film.
First feature film. I'm sure he did little other videos because obviously a lot of craftsmanship went into that thing.
Yeah.
It's a black and white movie, 1977. I would kind of classify it as like an art house nightmare with a twist, kind of.
Yeah.
Kind of a comedic undertone, but... It's like Pressure The movie is like being under pressure, being under the pressure of impregnating your girlfriend, being under the pressure of being surrounded by industry and surrounded by dank, awful city life, being surrounded by awkward family encounters, being surrounded by, being consumed with, being attracted to someone who's not your girlfriend, right? So basically the movie is about a guy who is kind of I guess I read the movie's kind of based on Philadelphia, the cityscape and stuff, but it's this very industrial setting, and he is put in a position where he has to start settling down. So settling down with his girlfriend, settling down, he's trying to make this apartment a home. They end up having an offspring, I guess I would call it.
The classic offspring of Eraserhead.
So that's kind of, there's that story through line, but the way that story is presented from the very beginning all the way through the end is it weaves in and out of something that is coherent and you can kind of grasp, okay, this is kind of the story, and then it weaves out to incoherent. Like, the opening is very incoherent. It is very nuts. There's like a planet, there's a man at a window, and there's like a weird sperm worm thing falling into this guy's mouth. And then it weaves into coherent of like,
Jacob, you love it.
Oh, he lives in the city and he's walking around. And then it weaves into incoherent of like, wow, there's like weird mounds of dirt in his apartment and like he's trying to grow plants and he's looking into a radiator and there's a stage in there. And then back into coherent of, oh, he's at dinner with his girlfriend and there's his family and the mom's weird. And then, but it's incoherent of, the weird stuff starts happening at the dinner. So that's kind of the way the movie, the rhythm of it is. It goes back and forth between something comedy? You can...
There's
comedic moments.
Yeah, there's funny moments.
It leans more into kind of that pressure, scary, not scary, but like...
it's unsettling.
Tense, unsettling. So the movie weaves in and out, and ultimately my biggest takeaways is I can totally see... David Lynch is very visionary. I mean, the only other thing I've seen of his all the way is Twin Peaks, first couple seasons of that. And so I can totally see that those hallmarks of classic David Lynch of, very tense, very good design and cinematography, very tasteful choices, interesting characterization, mixed with very surreal sexual horror elements.
He's a very visual. He is an auteur. He is a made a name for himself to where it's like people go, oh, that's very Lynchian.
Yeah, but
Lynchian,
it's the kind of movie that you could sit here and dissect what you think maybe this maybe represents and stuff, but at the same time, it's not really about that. It's about putting you in a place and making you go on a weird journey. Because there are some things I feel like I have a better grasp of this offspring. I kind of have a feeling. By the way, the practical effects on that offspring, and I did a little bit of research. Basically, he has a thing with his girlfriend, and the mom's like, "You're gonna have a baby," and then the girl's like, spoilers, I guess. She's like, they don't even know if it's a baby, and I kind of laugh like, what does that mean? Yeah. And then you see this thing, and I don't know.
Did you know anything about this before?
No. And so it is this weird, like flesh-looking, like it looks like it and like here's the thing: I've done research. Nobody actually knows how they did it.
Yeah, I think I read that too. Yeah.
And so the theory is that it is a dead baby calf that was like partially aborted or something like that, and so they made it look alive. Yeah. But the practical effects are mind-shattering. Like it looks like a real creature. Yeah. I think it is a real organism.
Half the budget.
So
I just don't understand what joy you got out of this.
It makes you. It really. You won't.
I don't think there's a deeper meaning you could dig out of this because I promise you what you're explaining.
I think it's a movie about.
If you want to go into if you want to have an experience, these are experience movies. I think some other ones. Some of his other movies, I think this has meaning in it for sure, but I think all of his movies are like, you are in Lynch's world, and I had heard before, I don't know if this is true or not, but he started out, I do know this, he started out as a painter, he started out painting, and he got into film, and I had heard that he wanted to make films like paintings. He wanted the film to feel like you were looking into a painting, and every single one of his movies transports you to like, you're uneasy the whole time. Yeah. Things are not quite right. Everything's like 1 degree off, and you're like, oh, like it's very. I love that.
His approach to filmmaking isn't okay. I'm going to take this literal story and tell this literal story by the characters doing things and you seeing it and them saying things out loud, and then that's how you learn. my understanding is his approach to making a movie is he has a theme, an idea. He wants to transport that through a character or through situations or imagery, but he wants to use the language of cinema to make you feel a way.
Yes.
It's not about making you understand what happened all the time. There were moments of clarity like, oh, I think this is maybe about this, but you don't really ever get to know for sure. I will say where the movie's name, I guess, comes from, the literal scene, there's a literal scene embedded in the middle of this film. I don't understand that. I don't know what that is. It's goofy. It's weird. The movie, like I said, it kind of weaves in and out of coherent and incoherent. It takes a real big swing into incoherent at a certain point. Where the name Eraserhead comes from, and it's more literal than you might think, I guess.
And maybe
that's the point. Is he's like, hey, I'm going to go so incoherent that I go completely literal, and then I'm going to swing back into this. Who knows what his, but it definitely was an experience. So
absolutely,
this just goes back to my whole complete reasoning that when you give people money,
nobody gave him money.
When people get money,
he made it with his own money, as far as I can tell.
And they think they can do something they shouldn't, and then they do it, makes me really regret it for them, even though they feel okay that they did it.
Why do you? He's
like, you guys explained it. I'm sorry. What you guys just said to me, I feel like I wish I got back. I wish we just moved on. That does not sound like a fun experience. That sounds like a weird experience.
All right, so next we're gonna have a casual corner where he's gonna watch Eraserhead.
Yep.
No, I'm gonna watch the Avengers, and I'm gonna sit here and talk about how
we're gonna trap him. We're gonna kidnap Jacob.
I watched The Room with you guys, and I promise you, every minute of it, I just sat there with my back clenched, my butthole couldn't get any more clenched, so my back just kept going in.
Because you were just cringing?
It just was so disgusting. You have a man who should be an actor. You have a girl who probably doesn't remember making the movie, in my opinion. She probably was roofied the whole time. It just was so bad. It was so bad.
Alright, so next update, we're going to watch all of Lynch's film with Jacob. So now we're at the part of the podcast where, this is the finale, the car chase scene in the finale of DweeBros podcast. It is our top threes of the year.
But that's what makes sure game news, we all agree that it's just the worst one was Fallout 76.
That's mine. I can't think unless there's another one. I'm open.
I honestly believe Nintendo Labo was the worst thing to happen in 20.
It was good for them.
No, I think it was
a success for them.
I don't even think that was impactful enough to be best or worst. It was a cool little idea that I never heard about once it came out.
I think at one times,
that was last year.
Was Labo last year?
January.
It was January. Yeah, it was January. That's true. So they got an award or something for the best toy or invention or whatever it was. That
it's $80 cardboard.
It comes with software.
It's inventive. It has software.
$80 cardboard.
It is more. It is more expensive. It's more than I would pay. Yes, but it's cool for kids. But
it's what it is.
Best news. What was something cool? I honestly, I'm trying to think. What was?
Did we ever come out any good news?
Okay, I will say probably best. I would just say best reveal, which would be Cyberpunk.
Okay.
The trailer, and I really like that trailer. The demo is really cool, and I'm excited. But that reveal at E3, I loved that trailer, and that's really sustained me this whole year. I can't wait to get to that game.
I really like the whole...
It's not even a news, maybe, but
the Project Stream thing, for me, was kind of big.
Honestly, I'll say this. I'll say the best is the streaming. That's actually a best news story, is that there's these different companies getting into streaming, and there are good aspects of it. Because that could have been the worst news. That could have been the worst news of the year.
They're setting some good foundations and some cool stuff happening.
The streaming stuff, who would have thought that even you would even kind of agreeing with us at the start of this year that we'd be kind of excited and interested in some of the streaming stuff.
I'm interested in what they can do with it. I am open. And the worst news, thank you, Fallout 76. You really... what was last year's? Wasn't it this Destiny stuff?
Last year was loot boxes.
Loot boxes, okay, yeah.
And Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Star Wars Battlefront... But now, this year, Star Wars Battlefront 2 is a... great game.
That made it good. So that out of the way, I say let's do TV and movies and maybe then go into games and games. My favorite TV show. Well, I don't really have. I maybe have a runner up. I don't have a top 3 really for this. I think I just have a runner up, and then a best. My runner up TV show of the year was Wild Wild Country on Netflix. Yeah. I think that that just maybe my jaw hit the floor. It happened in the 80s. I felt like I'd kind of seen pieces of this throughout my life, but I didn't know anything about it. I legitimately kind of didn't know anything about it, to be honest. I think I'd seen images of like this kind of guy that was involved throughout my life, but it was shocking that this happened, and it had such large repercussions that it literally came down to what does the Constitution mean, and it almost broke apart. Like our entire foundation of the United States was on the line of what this could have turned into. Wow. It was so major that there's episodes from the beginning to the end. You're sitting there like, oh my gosh!
I've been wanting to check this out.
It is gripping. It is great. Great soundtrack. Great interviews with the people that were involved. Unfreaking believable this happened. So my runner up.
Jake, your show of the year? Do you have
a runner up or Baruto?
I'm not finished with it, so no. Dragon Ball Super, I watched all of it.
Okay.
Was that new this?
I don't know if it was.
I think it was this year. Yeah, there was stuff this year.
Was it this year? It was really good.
They had a season this year.
The movie comes out soon for Broly. I'm excited for that.
I've seen people say that they liked it. Yeah.
I'm gonna fangirl over that one. I don't watch. Honestly, when I sit here and say this, like
you're not a TV guy.
I'm not a TV. I'm like I watch 4 shows a year, and they're normally on recycle, and I watch them again, and I have my taste, and that's why I don't pay for cable.
Yeah.
Like there's no need. I watched Breaking Bad, got through season 3. And I'm like, this dude gets in problems, cooks meth, and gets out of them. That's the whole show. Like there's nothing more to it. He gets in a problem, cooks meth, gets out of them.
His opinions are not our opinions.
I have no TV show.
You see what I'm saying?
Making a Murderer from 2016.
I finally finished Breaking Bad for the second time, but it was my girlfriend's first time. But
he makes meth, right?
All right, back to me next year on TV.
Next year, you're gonna be a TV. You guys are gonna be TV nuts.
I'm gonna start to think where I'm gonna finish 53 shows. 53 shows in a year, guys. That's what I'm gonna do.
Okay, we'll check back in on that. And my show of the year, Westworld. Westworld, this was the season where it said, hey, if you ain't strap in or get out.
Yeah.
And I think some part of the fan base left out, and I just strapped in and had a blast watching Westworld. Definitely check that out.
The creators of The Person Where the President Has Fallen.
I don't know.
The President.
It's one of the.
Get up.
Help!
The Senator has fallen.
The Senator has fallen! I'm just... Sorry.
But this show was very Lost-like. If you're into that stuff, Westworld. Looking forward to next season. Next season, I think, is 2020. I think they're going to... some of these HBO shows have taken 2 years to get out, which I think is good. I think it's more polished and whatever, but we'll miss you, Westworld. That's my show. Movies of the year.
All right. Can I go first?
Yeah.
My movie of the year is...
Oh, or do you have a runner-up? Do you have, like...
No.
Oh, you just have a movie of the year.
I have a movie.
Okay.
Is that okay?
No, that's perfect.
My movie of the year is Venom. No.
People clicked out immediately. They're gone. So if you're still here, you strapped in as well.
How many runner-ups do you have?
I really just have one runner-up. No, I do have a top 3.
Okay.
Actually.
Because I think that my 1 is likely in your 3.
Okay.
So I don't know if I should go or if we would rather see if it's one of your runner-ups. So why don't
I'll go first. How many do you have? How about we do that? Because I'll just say my third.
I got 1 and I got 1 late to the party. So maybe I could do
2 movies this year.
What'd you watch?
Okay, so I have a runner-up and a best movie.
Okay.
Runner-up, Solo.
Oh, nice.
Okay. It was a really good movie. I really enjoyed that experience. Very awesome. And then Avengers: Infinity War.
Yeah.
The only movie in my life that I paid twice to see.
Yeah. So I guess, you know what, I do have a couple then, because I'll echo, I really like Solo. I'm not going to carve out a space for it right now, even though I did
I only
space.
seen 2 movies.
It's not worth the space.
I really like the movie. I don't know, I kind of am repressed just because I'm very bummed that movie didn't do well. But I really liked Avengers: Infinity War.
Yeah.
I thought that movie was really something.
It sparked a greater thing out of you.
It And as a whole, Marvel overall is 6 to 7 out of 10 for me, and I still really liked Infinity War. And I watched it after not seeing a lot of them, and I really liked that movie.
Did Black Panther come out this year?
No, that was last year.
Oh, okay. Because I was saying I watched that too.
So I guess Solo and Avengers: Infinity War would be my 3 and my 2.
Cool.
Okay.
So my third is Annihilation. So
What?
Was that this year?
Yeah, that was the beginning of this year.
That's
Because I asked my friend yesterday about it. He said it was this year as well.
I didn't. I thought that was last year.
No, it was this
I
year.
thought that was a wrestler.
No, it's not. But Annihilation, sci-fi flick. Had a great time with it. Weird stuff happening there. Annihilation, third place.
Okay.
My second is Best Friends.
That's my number 1.
Okay.
So I'll just go ahead and say that.
I actually fell asleep, I think, for that show.
Yep, you were
You
supposed
guys
to
bought
be
me
there.
a ticket.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, I fell asleep.
The Best Friends was a movie made by the Room creator. Right up your alley,
It wasn't
man.
made by him. He didn't direct it.
Oh, I mean, he was in it. Sorry.
He was in it.
Yeah, he was just in it. But the way he makes stuff is the way that we've made goofy stuff before.
Yeah.
So it's stuff that I would make, and just those two interactions between Tommy Wiseau and Greg Sestero, it was just so funny. Funny freaking characters, really funny time. It just was enjoyable, weird, and then at the end there was all these behind the scenes or extra stuff. It felt like a very cool experience.
That's why it's my number 1, because I loved. First of all, it was just very unconventional. Like it released like on one night on like a Monday or a Tuesday.
Yeah.
So it only screened a couple times in our area, right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure only once or twice.
Yeah, they only had a couple.
You go and see part 1, and then at the end of part 1, they got a trailer for part 2 that comes out 3 months later.
Yeah.
And it had like a music video, and then part 1 and part 2 were very different movies.
Yeah.
And I love that. It reminded me of Kill Bill 1 and 2.
Yeah.
Of like that each one had their own individual, really interesting characters. They both felt like fully entertaining, well worth existing on their own movies. So it was the most unique cinema experience I've had in a long time.
Yes.
Because most things you go see are either big budget or indie, or it's an old movie you go see. This was like some weird middle ground of like, I mean, it wasn't big budget, but it was weird, and it had its own kind of approach to everything, which makes sense given who it's from.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So I do have a couple more movies I wanted to get out of this year to kind of watch. So this might change. This might be a best ongoing game, as Jeff Keighley in the Game Awards gives. This might be that. But I give my movie of the year to Mandy. Mandy was a revenge thriller movie starring Nicolas Cage. I had no clue this was going to be my movie of the year, but it was a movie that, as I was watching, was going, wow. Whoa. Like, just visually, it is so striking and so unique. Nicolas Cage's performance is very, very funny and very extreme throughout. But, man, there is just shots in this movie and just character. It's very Lynch-like and Lynchian.
Interesting.
But I freaking loved it. I want to watch it again. I want to keep watching that movie. But very, very creative, and I give it to Mandy. Shouts out. Mandy.
Was The Rock in it?
No.
Wasn't that good then. I'm just kidding.
Did you give a 1?
I think a 1, a number 1?
I thought it was Avengers, wasn't it?
No, it was anything The Rock was in this year.
Oh, okay.
He didn't give us 1 yet.
Yeah, anything The Rock was in is my number 1.
I thought Avengers was your number 1.
Nope, The Rock wasn't in it.
Oh.
Yeah, anything The Rock was in.
All right.
Okay, so there's movies.
So Jumanji.
I think the time has come.
The time has come where this is the moment you've been waiting for. This is what everybody's typing in the comments. When are they going to get to the games?
You know, last year, when we talked about the games, I sat here and I was like, I was really genuinely interested in what you guys are going to say. I am almost positive we all might be on the same page this year.
I don't
know.
think you're
I don't
right.
know.
Really?
I don't know.
I don't think you're right.
I
couldn't disagree
I feel
more.
more confident this year than I did last year.
Okay. All right.
I said we start
I have
with our
3.
runner-ups.
I do have 3.
We have 3.
I have 3 as well, and I have a runner-up.
So we'll all start with 3, then 2, then
Okay.
1.
So we start out with our runner-ups?
Yeah,
Yep.
start with just your
third
third.
best game.
We'll go third, second.
No, I have runner-up, and then I have third,
Oh,
second,
I see what you're
so
saying.
Yeah.
honorable mentions.
Yes.
You don't get to do that.
We did that last year.
We did honorable mentions.
Whatever.
We did honorable mentions. My runner-up this year was something I enjoyed with drugs. watching videos about drugs. Marble Blast.
Okay.
Marble It Up. I could get
Marble Blast. Marble
It Up. Watch one of our past podcasts. I think the last one to understand that story. But Marble It Up. Man, I just love being a marble and rolling around. Not much more to say about that. Addicting, fun, trying to beat time limits. Check it out. I think another runner-up, just because it was cool to play this again, I think it was a great remake, was Shadow of Colossus. I think I loved going back into that world. That game's still a classic to me. And just they did a good remake. It was a good remake. And that's my two runner-ups.
My runner-ups are runner-ups because frick this year, it was backloaded and the games just kept coming as I got busy. So my runner-ups are games I haven't even played, but I can't wait to play them next year. Monster Hunter World looks awesome. I can't wait to play that game. Into the Breach looks awesome. I played it for 5 minutes, and it was really cool. It probably would have been in my list if I had more time with it. Tetris Effect, I really want to play that freaking game because I love Tetris.
Can I ask real quick, what's the appeal of that? Isn't it just
VR?
It's a completely all-consuming experience, and it's like you go into these different worlds and stuff. But
it's just backgrounds, isn't it? And then
I
think I don't get it.
I think everything is better in VR.
Yeah, dude.
I do.
I don't get it. I've seen other people say it's great, so
I'm getting that game anyway. I can't wait to play that. Astrobot looks awesome. Haven't gotten to it yet.
Me neither.
But I really want to play that, and then Return of the Obra Dinn is something I'm bummed. It wasn't even on my radar, and then it came out in like the busiest time of year for me, so I haven't touched it. But what I've seen of that game, the art style, I love the guy who did it. I mean, he did what's the game with the passports and stuff.
Oh, it's that same guy. I didn't know.
It's that guy. Papers, Please.
Papers,
it's
Please,
the Papers, Please guy. Okay. So it's a completely different genre, but that guy is really, he's interesting. So those are my runner-ups because I didn't get to them, but I would recommend any of those games based on just what I played or seen a little bit of.
Okay.
Interesting.
Runner-ups for me, Red Dead Redemption 2. It had me and it lost me, and I think it can have me again when I have more time.
Yeah.
But I just kind of was like, this game's too much. It started out too slow for me. I'm not really quite ready for it. It was alright. I had fun with it. If I feel like I played the whole thing, I'd love it, but I just haven't had time. Detroit Become Human.
Very fun.
That one.
I should have mentioned that one.
Great experience. Great story. It was definitely like for me like when I played Life is Strange. Like I got pulled in right away. Detroit. I had to come home and play right away. I no-lifed it.
Yeah.
A good time. It just wasn't good enough for me to crack my top 3.
Yeah. I would agree with that too. All right, number 3. Number 3 game of the year. Spyro Reignited Trilogy. And I when I was making this list, I was like, last year I did Crash.
I was going to say.
So another of the classic remakes. Man, it's a great package, a great freaking price for these 3 games, just like it was last year with Crash. I'm having fun. I'm in the middle. I'm about 3/4 of the way through, I think, maybe halfway through Spyro 2. Freaking loving it. I just love. They did a great job. These Crash and Spyro were 2 that I went, man, they could screw these up, and man, I'm happy to say they did not. Like they knocked them out of the park. So great games. Check them out. Classics. And one other thing I was worried about was how will these kind of transition into 4K graphics? Are people going to appreciate them still? They're freaking fun. They're simple. I'm having a great time with them, and they hold up to this day. So Spyro Reignited Trilogy is my number 3.
My number 3 is a game called Moss. Moss is a VR game, and I really liked it. I played it. I got my PSVR during Thanksgiving time. And I hooked it all up, and that was the first game I wanted to play because it came with the bundle that I got. And I think it really sold me on VR. So, and we've talked about this before. Yeah. You kind of said, oh, it's a game you'd be really interested in. And so I played it, and what I think, and this is where where your Tetris question is I think what it did for me was it showed me that third-person experiences are just as good in VR as first-person. Because you're playing, and when you're just watching footage of Moss, it doesn't look like anything special. But when you're playing it, this little mouse running around looks like a little action figure come to life. Like you are there and it's right in front of you. And
it seemed right up your alley. So
it blew my mind, just that level. And it was kind of my first VR in my own home experience. It's not the longest game. It's probably 3, 4, 5 hours long. It's got good little puzzles. It's got a giant snake at one point that freaks me out.
Like I'm glad you warned me.
It like gets up. It's towards the end of the game. It gets up and it is like it's technically attacking the mouse, but it has such a presence. I think David Lynch mixed the audio. Like this giant snake thing comes up and it's just like piercing into your soul, and it is like so. Even though it's not the longest game in the world, I sat there and I said, the game it reminded me the most of was Brothers, A Tale of Two Sons. And Brothers, if I had played that the year it came out, it would have been in my top 3. So part of me was like, am I overvaluing this because it was a VR experience? But no, I mean, it's showing how valuable VR can be. And 2, I'd put it right there with a game like Brothers for just, how really interesting it was. And so I really liked Moss. That'd be my 3.
I'm glad you enjoyed that. I want to play that soon. Do you play with the wands or
I just play with the controller on that.
Can you play with the wands?
I don't know.
Oh, okay.
I don't think so. Lucky's Tale. I started playing that.
The bundle I bought didn't come with the wands, and so they packaged 2 games that specifically you would use a controller for.
Gotcha. Yeah.
I'd make up for that. Number 3, Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Already up there. I have played every single Smash Bros. As soon as it comes out, and I remember spending so much time playing Melee. I remember spending so much time playing Brawl. And then I played the Wii U version, and I loved it. I liked everything about it, but then I just started to realize I'm starting to get pretty good at this game where I'm like, there's no longer any aftermath. There's no joy to the game after I unlock everyone.
Mm-hmm.
This game has made it to where I struggle against computers.
Yeah,
I struggle. Hard. Yeah, I struggle when I unlock new characters because they beat the crap out of me.
Hard.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm good at Smash. I'm not bad. So I'm sitting there like, yep, this is it. This is going to be my game. This is finally it. So I'm very happy with it.
It's so fun and it is so deep. There's so much.
And the fact that I joined Crack the Service with the World of Light. And I'm sitting there like foaming at the mouth. I'm like, I'm going to beat everyone's classic mode first.
Yeah. And
then I'm sitting there, I'm like, World of Light's mine. You have me. So I'm excited. This game is really, really good.
I just realized we didn't even mention Smash earlier on the stuff, but
we're talking about now. So, but nonetheless, I'm thrilled. And the controller came with the game. We got the
I got it as well. Yeah,
and I'm like, that's a great controller. Yeah, right there it is. I mean, a phenomenal controller.
Looks great.
Love every minute of it. So it's been good.
Cool.
Yeah, I've been having fun with Smash too. Looking forward to our stream and stuff. It's very difficult.
It's hard.
And it was fun doing co-op, trying to do the classic mode because we were trying to get the challenge to get to 9.9 intensity, and me and Kenny kept freaking dying the other night playing it. It was so frustrating, but we were having so much fun.
It's so funny because you're sitting there and you're like, most people when you play Smash Brothers, you have a person you play with the most.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'll play with Ness, I'll get to 9.9. Now I can only get past 8. Something I'm like, oh dang it. So
I'm down in the 4s and I'm having trouble. But I haven't played Smash since 64, so.
Yeah. I played with King K. Cruel and got 9.9. That's when I just knew, I'm like, you know what? Maybe it's time to reevaluate what I'm good with.
Yeah. I've heard a bunch of people doing 9.9 with K. Rool.
Yeah, he's actually apparently pretty OP.
Oh, really? So maybe I better jump in there for an update.
He's the Ike of Brawl. Brawl, when Ike came out for Brawl,
hopefully they don't nerf him. Don't nerf him, Smash, please.
Need him. I need a 9.9.
Mr. Smash. Looking forward for that stream and stuff. Number 2. My number 2 game of the year was Amazing. The Amazing Spider-Man on PS4.
Not The Amazing Spider-Man. That came out in 2015.
I know. I'm just making a...
Marvel Spider-Man.
Spider-Man is amazing.
There's a literal game called The Amazing Spider-Man
you really
on PS4.
It
was.
Yeah.
There was actually 2 of them, The Amazing Spider-Man.
Whatever.
And
I take back my little
Amazing
cute
Spider-Man 2 is actually one of the worst Spider-Man games.
I was trying to be cute. These guys are not letting me be cute. Spider-Man, man, that was so... The game, I did the side quest even though they sucked. They were dumb. Didn't matter. It was fun because of swinging around the city. You know what I mean? They weren't even that crazy of side quests, but they were worth it because you get to swing around and be Spider-Man. The gameplay was so core in this. Loved the music and stuff too, but man, the graphics look great, except those puddles. I did sue. I am filing another lawsuit. But so much fun. Freaking Spider-Man, my number 2.
My number 2, when I think about last year and the games that were high on my list, I had Destiny, I think was my number 2, and then I think I had Zelda Breath of the Wild as my number 1, and those were both games that just absorbed me, and I grabbed them and I played them for hours and hours and hours, and days would just go away, and I was thinking about them all the time. And then when I thought back about this year, okay, what games were like that for me? There really weren't a lot. So I was kind of having trouble as I was putting my list together, but one of the games that dawned on me is like, this did come out this year. I did sink a ton of time into this, and it totally grabbed me. And it'll be my number 2 was Dark Souls Remastered. I bought that game on Switch on a total whim because I like Dark Souls and I was playing through Bloodborne, and I beat it like twice in a row, like in a week. I just played it so much, and it gave me a new appreciation for the game because I played the whole series in order, so I've always had a little bit of a chip on my shoulder of, yeah, Dark Souls is good, but Demon Souls doesn't get the credit it deserves because a lot of people praise Dark Souls as the best game. But after going back, after playing more of the series, I think I appreciate that game more. It's got a really great blend of freedom, being able to go wherever you want. And the challenge, I think, the more I play, is extremely fair and really fun. And I just think that fighting bosses in that game, beating bosses in that game, and doing it when you're really in control is one of the best feelings in any game. So that was my number 2. I just, for like 2 weeks straight, did nothing but play Dark Souls, and it was good for my soul. So that's my number 2.
And it was amazing.
Yeah, and it was amazing.
My number 2, it featured a very strong father-son relationship. That's God of War. I absolutely love that game. It could have easily been one of my first. And the only reason I think I loved it so much was because it took the God of War franchise and just completely flipped it.
Yeah.
And they're like, hey, look,
they could have screwed that one up, too.
We're going to go the Naughty Dog route with this. And it was amazing, the little Easter eggs there was. And then, like, right when you're ready for the game to end, and it's like, I'm kind of starting to get to the part where I'm starting to draw, it just smacks you with another new life, a new angle. And I really loved it. It was a great time, a really great game.
Yeah.
That's right. Cool.
He didn't play. You're not I don't want to hear it.
I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
Nope. You're wrong. You're wrong.
I think I had certain issues with it. It didn't really... that really wasn't really up my alley on some of the stuff it did, but that game could have really gone wrong. But I did love the direction of it, and like how there was no cuts. There was stuff I really appreciated with it, and I did have fun with it, but it wasn't something I maybe was attached to as much as you and stuff. But yeah, it was awesome, and hey, they won the Game of the Year for Game Awards. So I'm surprised that it's not your number 1. So I'm interested in what your number 1 is.
Yeah, me too.
It's gonna be Man or something. My number 1 Game of the Year. It's a game. You never know. Sorry, I got lost in it again. Red Dead Redemption 2. I did not expect when this game was coming out. I was like, oh, this would be cool to play. You know, I'm into Western stuff right now. I think I would do one. I'm kind of excited to play this now. Man, this game is my only classic of the year that I give a classic to. It really just gripped me from the beginning. I was like, whoa, like this is right up my alley of just great narrative, great characters, just this open world that's fun to explore. Man, just some of the moments are just breathtaking. Like, it just, even the subtle, simple things, I was just like, wow, this is blowing me away. There's stuff where you go in the camp that you don't even have to, like, interact with, and certain characters will come up. And it's like, I could have missed all this. I could have just ran and done what I wanted to do. Or I can sit here and listen to these two characters talk like, yeah, I'm not sure about this person. Yeah, I'm not sure about them. Well, how are you doing right now? And you can kind of listen to these conversations and these little moments. And, like, I sat down at a campfire and they started playing the harmonica and laughing together. And you can tell, like, this is a great gang of people that are trying to survive the end of an era. These people are about to lose everything. You know what I mean? Like, these people are coming to the end of the Wild Wild West. But it's so cool to just what they were able to capture. Incredible voice acting. every main and like side quests and stuff I'm trying to do, and I'm trying to like seek this stuff out. So Red Dead blew me away. I'm at the final chapter of it, but I'm in freaking love with just the ups and downs of that game and stuff. So Red Dead Redemption 2.
My number 1 is Spider-Man. So I really like that game. I don't know, when I just thought back on the games I played this year, as a guy that loves Spider-Man 2, and I was very skeptical of Spider-Man, I was giving it the side eye. I was not sure.
That's funny. It's your number
like
2 now. Yeah.
It's my number 1.
Or number 1. I mean, yeah.
Part of it's just out of necessity because, as you know, God of War didn't connect with, Red Dead didn't get to, Smash kind of came too late. I really like Smash, but it's so early with that game that I can't really speak to where in the world it would be in a list. But what I really like about Spider-Man is it is the perfect pick up and play game. Like you get there. It's so fast. The action is fast. You can drop in and out of different little types of missions so fast. The traversal's fun. I got to go to New York City this summer, and I loved New York City so much. I loved walking around. Me and my girlfriend walked all up and down Manhattan. We got to go all to the different districts. We ate in almost every single district.
You met Spider-Man.
And so that made it, just that much more cool to go back and to swing around and be like, I remember when we were there, I remember this building, and this must be this version of that building. And this was kind of a year for me where I really learned like why people love New York City so much.
Yeah.
Because I got to go there and I really loved that experience, and then playing the game was kind of another layer on that. And I really liked the way they told the story, even though its approach to open world design is about as opposite of Breath of the Wild. They did something smart that Breath of the Wild did, which is they took a lot of the story. Well, even though there was story in the present with like the new bad guy and stuff, but they made it a lot of little things sprinkled around that tell you about the past. So there was an immediate story about the bad guy and about what was going on, but there were all these backpacks you could swing around and find that reminded you of different things that happened in the past. And Zelda did that kind of thing where you would go around and take pictures and they'd show you cutscenes of the past. So it kind of kept things interesting. Of in between missions, you could find these backpacks, or you could capture these pigeons, or they did good world building with Harry Osborn and Mary Jane, and I like the take on Miles. So, to me, I wasn't interested in another, just vanilla Spider-Man story, but this one surprised me, and it really, honestly, the ending and where they ended up going with it, I didn't expect. So kind of the way they wrapped up the story and what the ultimate big, tough thing was at the end, it surprised me. So, Spider-Man. Great story, great gameplay, really fun.
It's funny because you mentioned, like, you went to New York and that connected with you. I was, like, deep into Westworld, and I was like, I kind of got like Westerns, and I start getting deeper, and then, and then that just was like, for me, it was Westerns.
Yeah, so Spider-Man, of the new 2018 non-remaster, it was the best game I played this year that I really, really got a lot out of. So.
We talked about this game earlier, and we said it was a complete mess, but I think it was complete fun. My game of the year this year is Fallout 76. And the reason I say that
are you kidding me?
Is you cannot experience more goofy fun
You're joking
than a broken game.
Are you joking with me?
When you get on this server, you load in.
Did somebody come in and is the body double switched
anyone for miles. And when you finally find somebody, you just get to kill them. And it's like, oh, wow, that was awesome.
I didn't even know you got this game.
I know I don't have it. It's not my game of the year. My game of the year is Spider-Man.
Yeah, it's got
Spider-Man was such a joy, so much fun. I've never 100% in the game, and I sit here today still in awe of the fact I was able to 100% that game.
Yeah, I 100%
And I'm like, it just, the experience in itself, like, I make fun of IGN for saying, you really feel like Spider-Man. You really feel like Spider-Man, man. It just, it brings a joy to you. The combat's so polished. I have nothing but praises for this game, and I'm able to sit here and say, like, I've taken a break from it. I've played other games in between, and I still sit here like, I cannot wait to play all the DLC. Mm-hmm. I cannot wait to get my hands on the sequel. I mean, this game just sold itself from the beginning. And
so positive, too.
Yeah.
Just the fun.
The story was great. I mean, the story, it was completely different. Like, that's the best part about it was, you didn't have to rehash some comic book story. You didn't have to, take no movie for it. They're like, we're going to write our own story. And, man, it's better than some of the comic book stories they had.
Yeah.
Like, they just did such a great job making Spider-Man, look experienced, but still go through so many troubles and so many issues, and that it just makes it look like a superhero. Yeah. It's a typical superhero struggling with personal life issues, and it's relatable. And I really appreciate that.
So it's not really Fallout 76?
No, that game sucks.
It does. All right, so as we wrap up, towards the ending credits of the finale of the DweeBros podcast, everyone's hugging. Everyone, family. The enemy has been defeated. Fallout 76 is dead.
Fallout 76.
Fallout 70 Smith is dead. Agent Fallout 70 Smith. So another project update. We've been talking about this big thing, and you're probably going, will you shut up? What is this project? Next month, January. Expect a teaser. Possibly.
Maybe.
I'm like a video game developer. It's coming out then.
You're really good at that.
We're like,
hey, this is happening. Next week.
Yeah. But next month, I am aiming to get some teaser for what this is we're working on. Maybe we'll talk more next month.
Yeah.
About this. So.
Yeah.
But next year we will be releasing this thing. You will see it, and you will go, oh my goodness.
I'm so excited to get this out.
Yeah.
It's gonna be
so
awesome.
Another thing I wanted to say was some big changes coming next year for the channel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Some pretty big changes. This year we got on Apple Podcast. Did some pretty great hangouts this year.
Some quality, just thumbnails.
Quality thumbnails, some wacky thumbnails. So updated, some channel art and stuff. So next year, I think it's going to be even bigger. I think some of the stuff that we have planned, again, to go vague, is going to be really cool. I'm very excited for some of the stuff. Especially the project and some other stuff that we're kind of
If you watch this show regularly, whether it's the podcast or the hangouts or whatever it is, please consider, if you've got friends you think that like this kind of stuff, like what we do, if you like it and they're your friends, you think they like it, please share it, because we would love to continue to grow, and we'd love to continue to hear from you. I enjoy getting comments and in the comments, when we ask questions.
Yeah.
So we would love, I think maybe next year we just want to continue to build the community around the shows and let you guys be an active part, and let you guys be, just as involved in this, so...
Definitely.
Kind of just my thought on it.
So along with your bank account numbers, put in the comments what do you think is awesome? What do you think? Give us some feedback, even if it's bad. But you have to tell us something good, like Zach, you looked really handsome in this episode, something like that to kind of ease the blow, please.
Yeah.
Please. But thank you guys for watching this year. It's been awesome. Again, check us out on Apple Podcasts. We're also on Spotify as well. If you're an Android user, can't get on Apple Podcasts. Apple Podcasts is not on Android, is it? I wouldn't assume so, because I know Apple Music is. Interesting. Any platform, we are just like Jeff Keighley up there with different platforms on the stage.
All over the place.
I have Apple Podcast on one arm and Spotify on the other. And who's the king of Spotify? I know I'd have like Tim Cook on one, and who's the other?
Oh, I don't know.
Who's Mr. Spotify?
Mr.
Are we on Tidal yet?
Not yet.
Audiobooks.
Still working on that one. But we're on there. Check us out, Dweebo YT, for updates when streams are happening. Yeah. We might do some even kind of unannounced stuff because people are on break, people are in town and stuff. So you might see some kind of cool stuff just going on, just some cool hangouts and stuff throughout the rest of this month. Time will tell. But thanks for watching, and we're gonna go out with a bang. Okay, credits go.
We're thankful for all these people.
And the credits go, starring us. That's the finale. But then you hear the screen fades from black to we're back. Guys. These people, their information got stolen for Fallout 76. What do you say we get it back?
We gotta do something about this.
Boom, boom, boom. Do we put the logo in right now, Zach? Boom, 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 dong, 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 dong.
Walking past some fire.
Boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
Dong. Cut to black.